Hi, I'm Colin, and today we're going to talk about some techniques for laying pavers and slabs. Before we can really dig into laying the stones or slabs, we really want to talk about the base prep involved to be able to effectively lay those pavers and slabs. The first thing you want to do is actually establish some square string lines. It's going to help you when you excavate your paver project, but it's also mainly going to help you when you're laying whatever pattern you choose with a modular paving stone. After you have your string lines up and your excavation is done, you're going to bring in your gravel base. And this is where you're going to want to spend a lot of time, is making sure that gravel base has the proper slope and is perfectly flat, so that when you bring in your bedding material, it can translate that and be perfectly flat as well. You always want to use some modular screed rails to make that bedding layer perfectly flat. With all of those things factoring into each other, you're going to have a perfect product that's ready to lay paving stones or slabs effectively and efficiently. Before we get into the right ways to lay paving stones, we're going to talk about a few of the wrong ways to lay them. One thing we see is what we call bulldozing. And what you do is, instead of aligning these with your stones perfectly, you jam it in here and try and tuck it up against here, putting bedding in between your joints, and it doesn't look good. Another thing, similar concept, is dropping the paver. It can disrupt the bedding, not only for the stone you're trying to lay, but the stones around it, making little humps and bumps as you try and lay. Another thing also is not laying it tightly, so you create a larger sand joint. Then when you try to adjust it later, you put bedding in between there and it doesn't look right. The last thing, but also the most common, is laying for what we call a pinching point. This can happen in a variety of different ways and a variety of patterns, but basically, if you lay some stones a little bit ahead of yourself and you try to jam a stone in later, you can move your field around as well as the stone you're trying to lay, and then also create ununiform joint lines and create more humps and bumps that just don't look aesthetically pleasing. So with the wrong ways to lay pavers in mind, we're going to show you just a couple techniques to avoid all those issues and lay your patio more efficiently and effectively. One of those being what we call the click and drop method. What you're going to do is take your paver, you're going to line it in the quarter of your existing field and just slide it down. We're not going to drop it in there, we're not going to throw it in there or bulldozer it. That's going to keep all of our uniform joint lines perfect and straight throughout our whole project. Another thing is to try and lay your patio or field or pattern at about a 45-degree angle. This is the most natural way to maintain square and straight the entire time. So with this running bond pattern, it's super easy. We just start at one end and work our way down, placing a paver in each corner to corner. These techniques seem simple, but they're going to help you lay a patio much more efficiently, and it's going to look better in the end. Most paving stones are going to be able to be manageable by the average person. They're usually not very heavy, even when you get into the slabs. What we're going to focus on a little bit now is our larger format slabs called the Lastra, or other manufacturers have a concrete interlocking slab. These are significantly heavier than most paving stones. These are about 95 pounds a piece. And before you pick your material, you want to ensure that you can manage that material, because the same techniques apply. You want to use the click and drop method, where you tuck the stone into the corners and gently set it down to create uniform joint lines, make everything go down easier. The last thing you want to do is get a material that's too heavy for you to be able to manage, lay it in properly, and have to pick up that heavy material and try it again until you get it perfect. So make sure you check with your manufacturer or distributor to see if you can at least manage the material that you want to use to ensure that it's not too heavy for you to be able to lay it with the proper techniques and ensure that you have a perfect looking project. So we've gone over the tips and tricks to both laying your smaller interlocking concrete paver as well as a larger format interlocking concrete slab. Hopefully you can utilize those techniques to efficiently lay your project a little bit better. If you want to learn more about DIY projects and all the blogs and videos we have, visit our website, westernlot.com. If you have a project coming up, make sure you download our project planning guide.